When you're excited for spooky season, it's already been spooky season for a while now, but as we get ever so closer to Halloween, I feel like now is the time to really push your excitement, to really push forward for the Halloween spirit. I thought it was a great idea that Spirit Halloween decided to make Spirit Christmas, which makes no sense. Somebody else is like, call it Holiday Spirit. Like, that's the better name, or a Christmas Spirit, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? Like, that's a brilliant idea because they already have that. I don't know how they didn't think of this or do this sooner, but it is what it is. Now is the time to focus on being spooky. I feel like everybody's going to pumpkin patches these days. They're really giving into the they're really into the experience. And so often do I feel like Halloween really is like that. I think it's the perfect like gateway holiday to like all the other stuff. So this is the one where you get to be like, I think I've said this before, but it's really the freaky holiday. It's the one where you get to be as weird as you want for an extended period of time, and you get to just like, and everybody accepts it. You know what I mean? You want to dress up as like a zombie? Dude, you can totally do that this spooky season. Like everything. As long as if it's creepy, yes, you can do it. You know what I mean? I feel like now is more than ever the perfect time for you to like be out there, you know? And spooky season, it's also like the time where the weather changes and it always gets like a little colder. There's always like that moment when like, you know, you obviously see the season changing, right? It's no longer the summer, it's fall. The leaves are getting more and more red and yellow and brown, and you're just like, oh man, you know, everything's changing so quickly. Yeah, good stuff, good times. And depending on where you live, the spooky season's festivities are so great. You know what I mean? They're so vast, they're so different compared to everything else. I remember, what was it? I remember the feeling of like, I remember when I went to New York City and there was this, I don't want to say change in the weather. It was like, it was September, but it was right before, you know, the fall season started. And looking at pictures now, like of the fall season in New York City, you can see that like, a month later, everything is just completely changed. You know what I mean? And I was kind of like, darn, you know, I wish obviously you wish you could stay more at any place that you vacation to. But like for me, I was just like watching it and I was kind of like, man, not that I'm upset that I missed out. I think it's more so that it's just that like I want to experience all the changes of the city, you know what I mean? For better or for worse, you know what I'm saying? I think I went there at like the perfect time where the weather was like, it was warm from like the summertime, but it was also like pretty windy and nice, and the everything was just good about that trip. I have no complaints about it. I just, I wanted to experience the fall weather, the season changing, Central Park when it's all, not just green, but where it's like, the leaves are falling, and then the winter time with the snow, and then experiencing the spring when everything starts to come back, and then, so on and so forth. I think that would be really cool. But enough about that. It's about spooky season. So recently, I think that there have been a lot of horror movies coming out that have been so... what's the right word? I think the horror genre doesn't get the credit it deserves anymore. I mean, not that horror is like a bad, like, movie genre. I just think that the overall, what is it? Like the overall experience of it is predictable. You know what I mean? There's certain tropes. That's the right word. there are certain things about horror that everybody like knows that's going to happen. Like when you hear the build up, you know there's going to be a jump scare, so you can kind of predict it. You can kind of see it, and there's also the joke of like everybody's stupid or nobody knows how to like get away, like how they're clever enough to get into it. And that's why I find horror movies to be extremely hilarious. It's just that like they're really comedies, but you just have to remember or keep in mind that the thing that's happening to them all isn't real. You know what I mean? As soon as I let that sink into my brain, and my life, I started to see all of the funny things about horror movies, and they're absolutely hilarious. Obviously, you have like remakes being done, like they just did with Beetlejuice. You know, that's cool. I think that works for that particular movie. I think Tim Burton has always been really good at keeping the spooky season alive. He really does a great job with his films and creating this darker theme that I really enjoy. There was so much in his style that I really feel like it's very necessary for cinema. Or for I think it's a perfect example of like having a distinct style, and by sticking to it or staying with it, it kind of makes you so unique and so special, and makes you feel like, oh man, like they're doing it right. You know what I mean? I hope that makes a little bit of sense. But I think some of his movies they really carry a lot of nostalgia for me because they are so unique, they are so different, they are so attached to the spooky season, you know, like it makes up a great amount of it, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy his films. And so I think binge watching those will get you excited about spooky season. They always tug at the heartstrings a little bit, you know? Let me think. Definitely what always gets people in the mood, or what brightens up everybody, is what kind of like costume they decide to choose. Choosing a costume is very important, all right? And the reason why it's important is nowadays I feel this is where makeup artists thrive during this time of the year. And they thrive during this time of the year, you know, because if you're not like a makeup artist for a movie, like say Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Where like Dave Bautista and Zoe Saldana, they get like all this makeup done on them, you know what I mean? They get like the green paint, and then they get like all the tattoos and stuff, and they're just like, you know what I mean? Like they get to dress up, you know, every so often, very often, and it's kind of like, oh, that's cool, like that's good for the characters, or you know, it fits, right? And that's where the makeup artists really put in their work. You know what I mean? They really get up in there. And unless you're like one of those makeup artists, like specifically working for the studio, you don't really get the opportunity to create, or to work on sort of costumes or certain, you know, touches upon, essentially you don't get to play around with makeup all that much in the grand sense. You know what I mean? Obviously you do like the basic eye stuff, or the, you know, basic blush, and all that other daily, or kind of like what's the right word for it? You know how it's like you just a regular glam, you know, like just a proper glam, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to doing a big you know what I mean, painting the whole body blue or the face, or getting to do like some like prosthetic nose, or getting to like make somebody look like an alien or like a werewolf, or you get to like make somebody look like a vampire, or all of these other choices. And this is where they really get a lot more creativity. So that's why I feel costumes as a whole are so important. Me specifically, I tend to go with more of like a playful, easy, not over the top, but not too like, you know what I mean, too down. I just feel like, what's the right word? I kind of feel like there's not that there isn't any effort to put into it, but at the same time, I like to be comfortable. I don't want to be like dressed up like in cardboard. Like I see those kids that dress up as like a transformer, and then they fold down, and then they can like become the what's it called? They become like Bumblebee or Optimus Prime or whatever. Like that's cool for like 2 seconds that they show it on, you know, online or whatever. But then when I think about it, I'm like, I actually wouldn't have that much fun being. I don't think I would like be comfortable in like an all cardboard box kind of an outfit. You know what I'm saying? And then there are the other kind of costumes where it's like if you dress up as Mario for Halloween, it's like you're just basically wearing regular clothes, but everybody knows the distinct look. And I think that's like more my speed. You know what I mean? Like everybody knows that you're dressed up, but not everybody knows, but like you put effort into it, but it's not like dramatic. You know what I'm saying? So that really gets you into the mood. And for all that I know about like hyping me up when it comes to Halloween, I always felt like when I was in school and we would like, you could show up to school and you could like dress up as a, you know, you could dress up as anything. And I think it was right at freshman year of high school was when everybody kind of just like didn't do that anymore. You know what I mean? Like it was at that point. Well, maybe it was really middle school or junior high. Nobody really did that. I mean, in school they would kind of make you do like dress codes. I don't know if you ever. I'm sure you have, but like some of the public schools that I went to as a kid, they had like a dress code. So you had to dress up in like a polo shirt and khakis or jeans and then whatever shoes, you know what I mean? So you could really mess with your shoes. You know, the shoes were the most like, oh, you could wear whatever you want. But I kind of just like wore whatever. But yeah, you had to follow the dress code. So it wasn't like so any chance you got to really dress up was fun. But then as you get older, it's like it's not cool anymore, and then you just kind of dress up for Halloween. Like that's the time to do it. And now with social media, everybody like posting different costume ideas or like new stuff comes out, it's become like a huge deal to like post a certain spooky aesthetic going on. Which I enjoy. I think that's the thing that gets everybody in the mood is like they see inspiration of like somebody dressing up as Jack Skellington and oh my gosh, I can't believe whatever his girlfriend's name is in the movie. I forget her name. Darn it. I feel bad. But like people will like dress up as that, you know what I mean? Or people will dress up as like or will do like makeup inspiration for the Halloween season. I think that's the cool thing about it is I really admire those channels or those influencers or those makeup people that are able to like on a daily basis create like a makeup look or a certain character. They can dress up or they can paint or not paint, but they can kind of like dress themselves up to look like them. You know what I mean? Like it carries. It's really cool. I think now I feel because so many people, what's the word? Because so many people dress up, or because so many people can kind of do makeup, it kind of like, I don't want to say diminishes it, but it dilutes it a little bit. Like it's like, oh, cool, another, what's it called? It's like you go like, oh, great, it's another Wicked Witch of the East, or it's another Elphaba, or it's another whatever. You know what I mean? It's like it dilutes itself down, but it's still cool. It's still cool, and I can't believe they're not releasing Wicked in October. That's a crime. I think they waiting until November after the Halloween season is kind of a letdown, because the movie it's good enough to release for the October season so people can dress up as Glinda or Elphaba or any of the other characters in the movie. But at the same time, the movie isn't complete, I think. I don't think Wicked is the full story. Meaning, I think that the Wicked is just going to be the first act, and then it's going to end with Elphaba flying away singing, what's the right word? The right song. Defying Gravity. That's how the movie's going to end. And then they're going to come back and do the next part of the movie. If they do manage to tell the full story, like the full all acts in the story, then it's like, okay, cool, But I have a feeling that they're gonna do it again. But for it to release in November is kind of like, what a missed opportunity, because it's so iconic, the look and the kind of, I don't want to say the storytelling. I mean, like the characters are so Halloween coded, if that makes sense. They fit the spooky season quite well. What else is there? I mean, there are plenty of Halloween events to go to. They have haunted houses. There are plenty of events, like they got like I almost said DreamWorks Studio. I meant Universal have like that terror thing going on. They also do, I mean, I would say concerts, but concerts, I've never been like, there's no band or any kind of like rock or like any kind of specific music that screams Halloween to me anymore. Like, obviously metal music or rock might fall under the category, but it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't hit like Halloween. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's kind of a shame, because there's so much music out there and none of it is like, there's no like Halloween theme per se. I mean, there's obviously Halloween songs, like they got Monster Mash and Thriller and stuff like that, but you know what I mean? It doesn't really feel like there's a giant album, or I feel like a giant body of work that like you can surely say is like, oh, this is Halloween. You know what I mean? It can be any number of songs that compile into it, in the same way that like Christmas, you know a Christmas song when you hear it, but when you hear a song, you don't immediately go like, oh, that's great for Halloween. You know what I mean? In the same way that like a few of them do. You know what I mean? There are a few of them that do match that kind of style. But I hope I'm making myself clear. I hope that makes sense. But anyways, it's all about the excitement of it, and I do think that as I get older, I appreciate the adults who put in the effort for kids when they put in effort into the holiday when I was a kid, and that's what made me like it. So, for instance, when I was a kid, they would have us decorate pumpkins, and then we would like make decorations in school. They would put like spider webs on the walls of like the classrooms and stuff. They would make it like fun. They would make it a little event, you know what I mean? And I liked that. I appreciated that as a kid, and it's what made me get into Halloween. And so now you just kind of have to realize that like putting in that effort is important. And because it's important, that's why you need to make it. You need to make the holiday what you want. So if you want to be excited by Halloween or by the spooky season, you have to make the spooky season what you want. You know what I'm saying? You have to make it scary. You have to make it spooky. You have to make it the aesthetic. You have to make it, do whatever you have to do to make your little bubble, your space kind of fit the mood. You know what I'm saying? There are any number of moments where I think about like things that have truly terrified me, things that have really scared me, things that when I close my eyes, I go like, you know what I mean? Just a little bit of terror strikes your heart. And I know I was really scared when I saw like I would get jump scared sometimes by I don't want to say by monsters. I just kind of feel like every now and again you would watch like a movie and you would just go like, what's the right word? I can't put my finger on it distinctly, but a movie like, is it Final Destination? I almost said Final Fantasy. That's the video game, right? Final Destination, where like everybody just randomly dies or like people get killed. You know how like the situation will call for something crazy or miraculous will happen, and it'll just like Final Destination, and it'll kill you randomly. Like that scared me because I was just like, it could happen to me at any time. You know what I mean? Like things like that where it's like at the last second, somebody gets hurt or somebody gets killed, or at any time you could die next. Like that kind of stuff scared me a lot, and it still scares me today. It's like any moment could be your last, But in a different way now, and a more so like not in an over dramatic way, like when I was a kid, or when I would watch Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and that snake came out. I was like, oh my gosh, that's creepy. Or all of the insects and stuff. Like I used to be so scared of like the bugs or the snakes or of all of the animals that I couldn't control. Like they made tigers and lions seem so evil and so scary. It's like if you get caught in a room with them, you're gonna be dead. Or sharks, or all of these other animals or creatures or monsters that they would like come up with and conjure up. You would just be terrified of them. And I followed that. I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared of vampires. And now I'm just like, I just have to get a pencil, a wooden pencil, and stab them in the heart. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things I've outgrown, but at the same time, I still think about how movies or the media or like stories in general, they don't make them as menacing as they used to. Or maybe that's just me, you know what I mean? I think it's maybe more of a me thing, but I feel like there's a untapped potential there. I really think that the Twilight series or the books or the movies kind of took away some of their horror game away from them. You know what I mean? Like they took away some of their credibility as like monsters or like being evil, because they made them more so like comedic. I mean, not comedic in the sense that like it's like they made them into a funny ha-ha comedy. It was more so funny in the sense that like they were trying so hard to be romantic or to like be something so serious, it ended up being so funny after the fact. So that's why people make fun of it now, including myself. But I would like to see vampires kind of done in a way that's, what's the right word? They're vampires, but they're done in a way that's not like comedy. You know what I'm saying? Like they kind of make it wishy-washy. Like they make Dracula like a father, you know, like with the Hotel Transylvania series. They always try to find a way to make it like kid friendly, and there's nothing wrong with it, but like there needs to be a balance here, you know what I'm saying? Like I need more of a killer vampire movie where like they just kill everybody in like one movie, make them like the main protagonists but make them the villains of the story, and you're just like watching them as they kill and they kill and they kill over and over and over again until a hero rises up to slay them and stuff like that. I feel like there needs to be more of that, you know? That would definitely get me excited. I also feel like werewolves have definitely gone down in scale in terms of the monster scaling. At the top, right now, it's very supernatural right now. I feel like a lot of ghosts are at the top of the list because ghosts are something that anybody can kind of put up there. You know what I'm saying? Ghosts can... It reminds me of that that movie Hereditary. You know what I'm saying? Where it's kind of a ghost, but it's like an evil demon spirit trying to take over this kid's body. Anyways, I don't want to spoil it. I mean, you know, I just kind of set up the premise, but overall, I feel like ghosts are at the top. Number 2 would be, I mean, I think human beings are rightfully up there. You know what I mean? We are awful people, but what else is there? There is, I guess I got to go with vampires, and then it goes like a monster of some kind, like Frankenstein, or maybe like a mummy of sorts. Oh, demons. Maybe like a demon goes above vampire, because like, you know, some sort of like evil monster like that. Then vampires, then monster of some kind. I'll say... No, actually, monsters or like alien. Like an alien. So it'd be ghost, alien, human beings, vampires, extra monsters, something like that. And then I guess werewolves are at the bottom. I don't know, dude. I feel... I think werewolves are definitely creepy. There's a story there, but they're not like... They're not hitting it like they used to. You know what I'm saying? Like, the best piece of werewolf we've ever gotten is from Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. And that one was even pretty mild. So, like, I feel like there's a lot more they could do with it. Let me think. Let me think outside the box here. There was that Superman, you know that story of like that, what's it called, Brightburn? Where it's like the little kid is like Superman, but instead of being like a hero, he's a villain and he kills everybody. That's creepy. And I guess you could also put The Boys, you know, the superhero show, or like the, you know, the one where the superheroes are essentially not great, or like if they were in the real world, you know what I mean? They wouldn't be this perfect thing, you know? There is also, I guess nature, huh? Like what we're going through right now with like all this hurricane and stuff, or nature can be scary. Man versus nature, that works. That I think is really good. There's also like psychological horrors where it's like more in the mind, and it's not really like any particular like villain per se. It's more so what goes on up here in your brain. So yeah, I just feel like if those ideas were more fleshed out, or a lot broader, or more fun, or they did more with it to make it like scary or creepy or terrifying, it would essentially make the spooky season more exciting. But instead it's kind of been watered down recently. Like, when was the last time I saw a vampire movie? I can't. But I will say cult movies have definitely gotten a big upswing. They've definitely been on the rise a lot more, where like these cults are like trying to take over somebody's body. You know what I mean? That happens to be a lot more, it's creepy and a lot more scary than anything else. So anyways, when you're excited for the spooky season, I feel like you gotta make Halloween what you want it to be. If you want it to be exciting, if you want it to be scary, if you want it to be creepy, if you want it to be weird and aesthetically dark and spider webs all over the place, or ghosts, or you want to bring a certain vibe to the holiday, you got to put in the effort for it, and you got to make it what you want it to be. Just like the way that people like, who were adults made it for me what it was. You know what I'm saying? I think you got to put, costume always feels good, no matter how small or how big it is, and then I'll say, horror movies always get me in the mood to like, they always put me in the right scared mindset, I guess. And then I will say, maybe like horror video games. There we go. That you could get the real blood and the real gore from playing like horror games. You know what I mean? Or like action, psychological horror thriller games like that. Those video games would really, really impact you. And also, let me just say this: Scooby-Doo. Nobody ever hated Scooby-Doo, you know what I mean, during Halloween. So that's also a big one. So yeah, those are the things that get me excited about Halloween, or about the spooky season, and I think they could also get you excited for it. So thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.